It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. I'm not looking at the screen right now. I'm just trying to do this off the dome. I'm also hungover, so
Hell yeah.
We drank last night. After last week telling Corey, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to try and not drink, well, I immediately succumbed to drinking because it is a sweet nectar, especially when we're drinking hams. Usually I throw it to Corey to introduce this, but this is a specialty. What Shane Gillis has done for Bud Light, I hope to one day be able to do for hams. I'm not famous enough. I have no following. We have 4 followers. Someday, I would love to be the spokesperson for hams because this is a gift straight from God, straight from the teat of a sacred lamb. This is everything I've ever wanted in life and more. So we're going to drink some beer to hopefully a little bit of hair of the dog because I woke up feeling like shit, slept 6 hours, felt like 3 minutes. Had a lot of weird poops, a little bit of the dads going on today. You don't need to know that, but you do now. And we'll talk about fucking movies. Corey, how are you doing?
From the land of sky blue waters, baby. This shit is so good.
If anyone says that hams isn't good, fucking throat punch, dude. Like, I hate you.
Hams is great, dude. No, we had a fun night. We were going out for a buddy's 30th birthday. He shaved his head because the hairline's been gone for... It's not even a hairline.
He
it's
barely
just,
had hair anymore.
Yeah, so...
He had as much hair as Jada Pinkett Smith. So him, clean shaven, changed nothing.
He had a hat on, so that's good. Not gonna name you, but anyways.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. No, it was a fun time playing darts, drinking beers, having shots, all that shit. But
oh my fucking god,
I
feel it now.
Mason's very hungover. I'm also kind of hungover, but the little hair of the dog has helped me a lot. This little fucking Hams bear is really doing a number on me. For the audio listeners, Mason has a fucking awesome Hams beer hat on.
Yeah,
that I love that shit.
I think for the summer, my goal is to just wear baggy t-shirts, like Chubby's shorts, and fucking beer baseball caps and snapbacks, because I feel like that's just like the most dad thing to do. Yeah. Not a dad, not gonna be for a while. Need to get a house first, but yeah, I think this is gonna be a mainstay of my collection. I fucking love this hat already.
Dude, it's tight. Yeah.
More beer hats to come.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of shit to get into today, so we'll start with the new release of the week. Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Boo. I don't know why I'm booing. I don't have harsh opinions on this movie.
Interesting that, anytime a director puts their name ahead of a movie, the last one I remember is Lee Daniels' The Butler. So I guess if you're named Lee, you have a great chance to have your name ahead of it. But we have had a lot of mummy movies, so I get it. It's directed by Lee Cronin, as you can guess. Gave us Evil Dead Rise a couple years ago, which we both really fucking like.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. One of my favorite movies in that franchise.
Yeah.
And this movie is more of a horror spin and kind of investigation a little bit, more so than a adventure movie like the Brendan Fraser Mummies, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. But basically, Jack Rayner plays the dad. Who is it? Maya Calmoy, who plays the mom?
I believe so.
Okay, I think it is. I should have looked that up beforehand.
That's fine. I have a computer too. I can do it.
But the parents and their young daughter Katie goes missing. 8 years later, she comes back. Some people find her in a sarcophagus. She comes back and she's all fucked up and weird looking, and she's got some band. Well, he's burping over there. Holy fuck!
Again, just gonna fucking completely hijack this. We do this at Corey's apartment. I'm walking in with this Hams hat, a rack of Hams beer, and I'm burping like I'm gonna throw up. And I'm like, what if I throw up on this sidewalk while wearing this hat, carrying the case? What a sign. Anyways, back to Lee Cronin.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Anyways, her daughter comes back and she's really weird, and she's possessed by this demon. So, going into this movie, I was actually pretty excited. I thought the marketing worked really well. The kind of what happened to Katie, all that in the trailer, I thought was pretty nice. And I had a good time with this movie. I liked it. I haven't heard a lot about this movie, I guess. I don't know, like a lot of reviewers that I follow, haven't talked about this movie, which is kind of interesting.
John's just posted his review, I think, this morning.
Yeah, but what I liked most about this movie is kind of what I liked about Evil Dead Rise, which is kind of a, just in a house, for the most part, horror movie.
Yeah.
And I think it is a longer movie for this type of movie. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was worried about that length, but I think that it worked well because we had the family dynamic between like the parents trying to figure out what to do with their daughter. I'll get into some negatives with that in a little bit, but we had all of that, and then we also had an investigation from this detective that was trying to figure out where Katie was for these 8 years and what she was doing.
The detective is played by May Calamawy, and then the mother in the family is played by Laia Costa. I believe.
Okay, thank you for that. But I like those two different things. It helped it keep it a little bit more fresh, just to like kind of bounce between those two things.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting just to see that investigation of what the fuck happened, and you find a VHS tape. Anytime there's an old VHS tape of like, here's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's freaky. So I had a good time. It's definitely a gross out movie. There's a lot of gore in this movie. Much like Evil Dead Rise 2, but there's scenes of somebody clipping toenails and then just skin from the shin rips all the way up.
It felt like a Family Guy joke to me a little bit of it just ripped. I was like, yeah.
It was like, there's
everyone's main fear, but also just the thickest, nastiest nails. Oh my god.
There's a scene of a tongue coming underneath a door and licking toes.
I appreciated that. I thought that was fucking baller. That is dedication.
That is dedication. I don't know how a tongue does that, but it's funny, and it's a demon, so who gives a fuck? And there's scenes of just like teeth being pulled, which that always gets me too. So a lot of gory stuff in this movie. I had a good time with it. It's not like a groundbreaking movie. I don't like it as much as Evil Dead Rise, but I do think it was a fun experience, kind of Lee Cronin's vision of the Mummy, because we've had adventure movies in the past, because we've had other takes on it. I like this horror take.
Yeah, I overall enjoyed this movie. I had a little bit more higher expectations, just like Corey mentioned. We both really liked Evil Dead Rise, and this feels a lot like he wanted to do another Evil Dead movie. Like, this movie has almost like, it just is lacking some of that sense of humor about it that you get in Evil Dead. This has a lot of that same kind of effect. A lot of the gross out images, somewhat possessed child saying horrible things, doing horrible things. The one thing I do, like, the massive positive I have is, I think, the setup of this movie. I think flashing back, I forget where Jack Rayner's character is stationed, and he's a journalist, but where he's working, and how the daughter gets abducted, and kind of also the backstory to why she got abducted. I liked that exploration of the captor and what her family has to go through and her lineage and why they need to sacrifice a person and do this kind of ritual. I really thought that was really interesting. The performances overall were really good. I didn't think that the movie was ever scary, which is fine. Horror movies sometimes just aren't scary. I did enjoy, kind of like what you were mentioning, the more investigational, trying to figure out and like crack the case as to why this happened. Because we have the answer, like we have Katie back, but now it's like, okay, how did this happen? Mm-hmm. Why did this happen? I like horror films that kind of take a different edge. And at moments, this film reminded me of The Empty Man, in that regard of like trying to like what is going on here. There are negatives I have, and we can dive into those in a minute. Overall, I think the performances are good. Not really scary. The practical effects, the gore was really good. None of it really got to me, except for I forget if someone sneezed blood onto deviled eggs.
Yes, yeah.
And then a woman ate them. And I'm like, okay, it's a movie. There's a cut in between that's not actually on there. Like, but I'm like, and then when people chew in this movie, it's just mixing Kraft mac and cheese.
The sound design in this movie is fantastic.
Sometimes it's a bit over the top for me, but in moments like that, when that woman just throws a deviled egg, which is a fucking god tier food.
Oh yeah.
But you throw a deviled egg in, and you get in the smushy of of her chewing with blood splatter like paprika all over these deviled eggs. I was like, I'm gonna fucking throw up in my seat right now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought the movie was like overall fine. I guess to get into some of the negatives, my main pushback is just like, I love that the doctors are like, hey, your daughter, she looks fucked, right? You guys can take her home. She'll be fine. She just needs some quality family time.
Physically, there's nothing wrong with her, but
look at her.
She needs some love.
She's damn near missing an eye. Like, her nails are fucking, like, Guinness World Record winding and turning and spiraling long. Like, no, she's not okay. You guys don't want to keep her under observation for a little bit longer? It was like a hot, like half a day, and they're like, nah, she's good. Send her out. Not in this healthcare system. Get out of here. I don't know. I thought that there's kind of a redundancy of the main conflict, or like the conflict between the couple of Jack Reynor and Lia Costa of she shouldn't be here or she should be here, and them flip-flopping back and forth and having that same conversation and them changing perspectives too many times to where I was like, I feel like you guys should have been on the same page way earlier with this. A person has died in your family now because of her being here. Something's wrong. And I think while it is Lee Cronin's The Mummy and it is a new interpretation of Mummy and that lore, I like the backstory and the setup, but I feel like in that latter half you kind of lose sight. It just kind of turns into a home possession movie. It feels similar to like An Exorcist, of just this somewhat freaky girl that's disfigured, that has like these somewhat supernatural capabilities, fucking with things and turning their entire family's lives upside down. So it kind of just boils down into familiar territory, but I really did still appreciate that setup.
Yeah, I agree with like the family dynamic, because there's a certain point in the movie where Jack Reynor and his wife, they're like having an argument, and he's like, hey, we might need some help with her because she's not normal.
Yeah.
I forget like what had happened that kind of spurred that, but he's like, we might need some help. And she's like, yeah, you're the reason that she fucking left. Also, fuck you.
Yeah.
We don't need help. It's my daughter. I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like you right now. This is dumb.
Like, basically blaming him for, like, oh, I was at work when she got kidnapped and you were watching her, or supposed to be watching her when she got kidnapped. And he's like, okay, I've also watched her a lot of other times where she didn't get kidnapped. Like, to blame me for that now still is just so shitty. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's also like, hey, you didn't notice that this weird old lady was giving her candy at the gate or whatever.
Regularly?
Yeah, and has like a stash in her room. But I think, one of my main issues is the reaction that people have in this movie doesn't feel warranted to what we saw previously. So, like, something really fucked up and weird will happen.
And it just kind of resets.
And it's just like, they see Katie doing some weird shit, or she'll like fucking headbutt the grandma in this movie, or she'll bite somebody, or she'll be crawling through these like tunnels kind of like behind the walls, through these little doors. And then the family's just like, yeah, she probably just needs some sleep. Yeah. Like, it's fine. So it just felt like
a little dehydrated today, Katie.
Yeah, it's just, it feel like it took a long time to get to the point where it's like, all right, we need to fucking get this thing out of her, this demon, or like do more research on that. Also, I like Jack Reynor a lot. I think he's good, and I like him in this movie. But there is a point in the third act of the movie, there's a part I really like, and then there's a part that I'm like, Part I really like is when they're watching the VHS tape of her and what happened, where he's just like, his mouth is open, and he's just watching it. He's like, that's my daughter. Like, this is, what the fuck is going on? He's just in shock. He doesn't say anything. Everybody else is kind of running off and doing stuff, and he's still sitting there. I really like that. But then once we get into kind of the more action-y third act of the movie, where, you know, there's sand coming in and the demon stuff happening, his reactions again are kind of just like, his mouth is just open. He's just like, and it's just like, I need a little bit more here. I need something. So I think that's kind of a common theme for me. One stylistic choice that I don't know the specific name of this shot, but it's where the foreground and the background are both in focus.
Oh yeah.
And I apologize for not knowing the name of it, but it's, you know, you have the person in the foreground, they're in focus. It's kind of a blur in the middle, and then there's a person in the background also in focus. They use that shot so much in this movie, and I feel like I remember that in Evil Dead Rise a little bit too, but this one for me, like, it just was kind of distracting because of how much it was used, and I think it can be used in a sparing way, and it's pretty effective. The one that I think of is in Us, Jordan Peele's movie, when at the end with Lupita Nyong'o, when she's like on the like chalkboard or like whatever, like cutting the things, and like it's both Lupita Nyong'o's there. So I think when you use it sparingly, it's good. This movie just used it a lot, and it was just kind of interesting choice to utilize that much.
Yeah, I like that shot. I couldn't find like a technical name for it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty common thing. Like, Sam Raimi uses it a good deal too, which, like, Lee Cronin's directorial, like, his flair is very reminiscent of Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But I think, like, sometimes there's shots like that where they have both foreground and background in focus, and they have like that blurred center section. And sometimes it looks good. Sometimes I'm like, I get what you're doing, but it's lost its effect because this image looks ugly. Yeah. Like where the blurred section of the image is a full third of what's on in the frame. I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing, but this isn't working here. I think another positive. I like kind of most of the ending. There's like kind of like an epilogue where they go and curse the people that cursed them, and I'm like, okay, I don't need this, but I like there's a sacrifice moment where a character has to do something and put their life on the line for Katie, and I really liked that. And I liked, if the movie ended there, I'd be like, sweet, perfect. Because this movie is 2 hours 14. It is a little long in the tooth because it does kind of do the same setup of like, Katie's doing a weird thing, put her back in her room. Isn't that weird? She needs help. And then, reset and redo. And it just kind of gets a little repetitive. I feel like we could have cleaned it up and then also drop off that little epilogue of them being like, all right, now we want revenge. I'm like, I don't need this. Overall, though, it was a good enough time. I wanted it to be a little bit better. I was a little disappointed just because of how much I like Evil Dead Rise. I still am really interested to go back and watch The Hole in the Ground that Lee Cronin did a while back. But, yeah. And Jack Rayner, I feel like he's really popping up a lot in horror movies this midsummer. And I think there's something else I can't even remember. But I'm really starting to like him as a leading man. There are some kind of moments in this film where he just has that same expression. But I think the rest of the cast, and the kids especially, were great.
Natalie Grace as Katie was really good.
Natalie Grace as Katie was good. The youngest sister of Katie, Maud, played by Billy Roy, she is so adorable, but there's a scene where she's just at a table just picking teeth out, and I'm like, oh, God, no.
There's a really funny scene with her when, and that's, I think, a thing this movie does well, is it has some good humor in there, too.
Yeah.
But she, like, goes up to the door where Katie's in, and Katie starts talking, like, the first time she's talked since coming back.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I can talk with you now. And the youngest daughter's like, holy shit, I'm going to go tell Mom. This is really funny. Yeah. I do agree with the kind of epilogue there, to get into spoilers a little bit, if you haven't seen Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Yeah, like Jack Rayner kind of sacrifices himself and gets this demon into his body. And it's,
yeah, he does.
Yeah, hell yeah, he does.
Get into it, buddy.
Get into it. And I think it's like a really good moment of like a father sacrificing for his family's future. I really like that. And then it's undone immediately, like 2 minutes later, where they go to the mental institution or the prison, wherever the girl that captured Katie, and they just transport it back into her, where it just felt like we're like, all right, we're flip-flopping this demon so much. Yeah. And it kind of it lessens the impact of that sacrifice because you wanted to end on kind of a revenge note.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't crazy about the ending. I don't hate it, but yeah, I don't know. Overall, it's a good movie. It's not going to be one that I that I remember a lot when this year comes to an end and I'm making my top 10 of the year, like even honorable mentions or anything like that. I think it's good. I enjoy Lee Cronin's style. I like some of the gross out stuff. Some of it got to me. But it's okay. It's very fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It sucks that that's like the best we could give it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's fine. If you are a horror fan, you can go check it out. It's not going to be, when I hear the name The Mummy, or a movie referred to as The Mummy, it's not the one I'm reaching for. Like, I'm reaching for the Brendan Fraser movies. They are so good.
Speaking of the Brendan Fraser movies, I guess it didn't really make sense for me to watch these movies this week because the Brendan Fraser mummies don't have anything to do with this. The Lee Cronin's The Mummy is a separate thing, and it would have made sense for me to wait until The Mummy 4 came out to do this, but whatever. I decided to rewatch the 3 Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser this week. It had been a long time since I'd seen them, and I really didn't remember a lot from them, if I'm being honest, but first one came out in 1999, and the sequel, The Mummy Returns, came out in 2001, both directed by Stephen Sommers. I have such a fun time with these movies. I think we were talking about it before, just how they're classic adventure movies that we just don't get a lot of anymore. Pirates of the Caribbean, or Zorro movies, or like just swashbuckling, big kind of, going across different countries and all this type of stuff is really fun. And Brendan Fraser's so good as Rick O'Connell. Rachel Weisz is great as Evelyn in these movies. Their chemistry, I think, is really good. And something that I like, I don't know, a little scene that I just kind of made note of in the original Mummy that I didn't remember, but it's something I love in movies where there's exposition happening, but the characters are doing something interesting within the scene of giving exposition. And in this movie, in The Mummy, they went to the tomb. I didn't even talk about the fucking plot of the movie. You know The Mummy. They're trying to resurrect the fucking mummy. Whatever. Some shit happens, and then they're like, all right, we have to fucking get out of Egypt. We have to leave. And Brendan Fraser's packing the suitcase, but then Rachel Weisz is taking everything out of the suitcase that he just put in there. And it just keeps happening, like, a few times where he's, like, putting clothes in, she takes it out. He puts books in, she takes it out. As they're giving exposition about what's happening. And I think it's a great way to do it. Spielberg does a really great job of that as well.
Yeah.
You see it in, like, Empire Strikes Back, I think, when Han and Leia are on Hoth, and they're in the tunnel talking, and people are walking between them, and they have to move and kind of do that. It's just, like, a way to make those scenes more interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the charm of this movie, because it very much is a Indiana Jones type adventure, and a lot of people probably have made that comparison over the years, but it has its own flavor with the Egyptian mythology. It's really fun just seeing Ankh-Sunamun and the Book of the Dead and the Book of Amun-Ra and all this stuff. I really like seeing that. Jerry Goldsmith's score in the first movie is awesome. It's cheesy, it's fun, but it knows exactly what it is, and I really enjoy it. You know, the VFX, they don't really hold up all that well, but it is charming in a way where it's like, it's the late 90s, early 2000s way, where I kind of enjoy that. It's, of like, they're trying, and they're like, just getting the hang of, like, PS2 graphics.
Yeah.
And,
especially when you get into The Mummy Returns, you get the infamous Scorpion King.
Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec, but, I love The Mummy, the 1999 version. I think it's so much fun. A couple notes that I just made on a rewatch of this movie is that they established that Imhotep, the main mummy, he is affected by cats. And any cat, because they're like the guardians of the underworld or whatever the fuck. And they use the cat like a couple times, but then they just forget about it. And I'm like, why don't you just like keep a cat on you?
Yeah, just
at all times. And just bring him into the tomb and be like, hey, get out, and then stab him.
Yeah.
The other thing, in the beginning of the movie, we see a little flashback to ancient Egypt, whatever, and they find out that Imhotep and the pharaoh's bride-to-be, they were having an affair, whatever, and instead of the pharaoh's men just, like, killing Imhotep, they decide to, like, put him in a curse where he could come back and be super powerful. Like, why not just kill him?
Yeah.
What do we have to do all this?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, you're kind of giving this guy a leg up
yeah,
later on.
This is a real opportunity for him to come back in a little bit.
Really nice to this guy.
Like, what is this? But either way, I really like The Mummy. It's such a fun adventure movie, and just going through trapdoors and creatures and little scorpions and all this type of stuff. Really like it. The Mummy Returns, I also have a really fun time with. The main complaint is, yes, it is kind of just The Mummy again, but I think that there is some new things that they put in there that I really enjoy too. There's some newer locations that they have, some new characters that are fun. The one thing between all of the Mummy movies is the character of Jonathan, played by John Hannah.
He's awesome.
I hate that character.
Oh, I love him.
He is just such a nothing.
Oh, he's the best.
Of just being like a greedy asshole all three movies and has no arc whatsoever, which I know Steven Sommers talked about. He's like, I didn't want this character to have an arc. I'm kind of like, could have done something. Because he's just there all the time, and he's just like, I just want money, I want jewels. He's like Mac from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, except he lives. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, the Mummy Returns is a pretty fun movie. I also did not mention Oded Fehr as Ardith Bey in these movies. Is one of the coolest fucking movie characters. He's he guards the tomb. He's the Magi, I think they're called. And he's just fucking awesome. He's got his fucking sword, and he's on his horse, and he's got the robes on him. Like, you are a fucking badass, dude. He's a lot of fun. We do have Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, in The Mummy Returns, his first ever movie role. It's been talked about so much of the Scorpion King VFX in the last part of that movie. And the VFX artists, they had 8 days to work on that, but it was finished 8 days before the movie came out. And that's fucking insane, just on the clock. I can't imagine the stress of being like, fuck, we have to get this done now.
Knowing that it's not going to look the way you want it to.
Exactly. So I kind of give some, give some slack on that. It doesn't look good, but it's...
Again, the charm of it.
The charm of it,
And now, like, I didn't see this movie until the reputation of those VFX were known to me. Like, I knew about the Scorpion King, and I've seen that scene before I ever watched the movie. And it's more of like here it is. Like, I get excited to see it. Like, it's not... I'm sure if you saw this movie in theaters at the time, you're like, oh. But now, like, watching it retroactively and knowing it, I'm like, oh, yeah, and this is just the way it is. Like, you just come to accept certain things. Again, sometimes a CGI can just be horrible and abysmal in a modern film, and it sticks out. In an older film where they're still, like, trying to crack it, and they're still, like, at somewhat the cutting edge of getting a lot of these effects to work, which... Granted, honestly, what they're doing with The Rock in that, I'm like, it's kind of questionable whether they can do that believable now. So, again, going to give them some slack, but it's also just, again, it adds to the charm of these movies. Like, it doesn't bother me, and does it take me out a little bit when I watch it? Sure, but, like, it's not a negative to me. It's just like, oh, yeah, there it is.
For sure. So, yeah, The Mummy Returns is fun. The issues that I have with it are... really just what a lot of sequels do, which is just kind of gets more complicated and messy. They introduce Alex, the kid of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and he's there. He's actually not bad in the movie, but it's just more characters, more things, more backstory, more kind of artifacts that we need. The main issue that I have with The Mummy Returns is that there's a scepter that is very important in this movie that Jonathan has, that he is just kind of carrying around for the movie before anybody knows that it's important, but he just has it and he's like, I don't know, I got this from something, and then it's like, that is the thing that kills the Scorpion King at the end of the movie, and it's like, none of you knew this was important, and it was here. It's just kind of a messy story beat to me.
Yeah, a little clunky.
Yeah, but I have such a good time with The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. They're just those classic adventure movies. The cast is so much fun. They're a great time. The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, it came out in 2008, 7 years after The Mummy Returns.
Same year as Iron Man.
And yeah, same year as The Dark Knight.
I remember like the trailers and the ad campaign to this so much as a kid, because like this is when, as a kid, I was like getting all the good movies to me at that time.
And I watched this movie on the DVD that I've owned for so long, which is a full screen edition, and it was just hell watching this on full screen. It looked like shit. I hated it, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little throwback. I haven't watched a DVD in so long, but this kind of shifts away from the Egyptian mythology, goes into ancient China, and Alex O'Connell, again, the child of Brendan Fraser's character, he's going off and uncovering an emperor and resurrects him. There's a lot of weird shit in this movie. I did not have a good time rewatching this. The main thing is kind of that Rachel Weisz didn't come back for this one. Maria Bello is Evelyn now. And the beginning of this movie plays like a weird sitcom where they're like both not happy with kind of being semi-retired.
Yeah.
And then there's just like Maria Bello's trying to like seduce Rick, and then there's just like record scratches when he's asleep, and she's like, doing her thing, and then it's like, and I'm like, what? What are we doing? What is this? And it's just, the movie plays like a weird, goofy sitcom, and I don't know, I didn't remember that really. The only thing I had remembered from this movie was the scene where in the flashback of ancient China, they have the guy that has ropes tied to all of his limbs and is pulled away by horses. I don't know why that scene from a kid stuck with me, but I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
This would be really bad.
It's a bad way to go.
I don't like this. I didn't take many notes for this movie.
Why not?
The one thing that I wrote down here was Yetis. There's Yetis in this movie.
Yeah, that part. I will defend this movie a little bit. I think that this movie is still really fun. I'd seen The Mummy, the 1999 one, a lot as a kid, but I never saw Mummy Returns and Tomb of the Dragon Emperor until more recently, and I watched them both within the same week, and I honestly maybe give a slight edge to Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
That's insane.
Only because Mummy Returns is just the Mummy again. Like, I like that this is different. I like the Terracotta Warriors. I like Jet Li. I like kind of some of the new additions to this film. Granted, you lose the chemistry of, like, the best part of these movies, or at least those first two, is the chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Like, they are awesome together. My only negative with that first Mummy movie is Rachel Weisz's fucking eyebrows. She looks like they're just penciled on. Like, it's very Egyptian, and I'm like, I don't know if that's, like, meant to be that way for the movie, but it looks insane. Like, it's so dated looking back at it now. But I love their chemistry. You lose that in Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Mm-hmm. I don't think Maria Bello is, like, bad in this role. She just has, like, kind of a thankless task of, like, all right, we need you to come in. We can't get Rachel Weisz back. I need you to do this. And she's fine. I think overall the VFX are mostly polished. Like, they're not bad. And I just like not having to go back to the same well of Imhotep and the same mummy antagonist and having a new direction. Sometimes the conflict between Brendan Fraser and the son, I'm like, okay, you guys can stop. I don't really care anymore. The Yetis, also, I'm like, don't need that. Remember that in the trailer, and I was like, why the fuck are Yetis in this?
So the thing is like, there's a level when people are like, well, what do you expect in a movie with people like undead mummies or whatever? People kind of throw that complaint out when you criticize some other weird thing in a movie, but if you establish within a movie that, like, all right, this is an ancient Egyptian or ancient China, like, we're resurrecting this mummy and it's their army that we're resurrecting. I'm like, all right, that's the believability of this movie. And you set your own rules of, all right, we have to do this in order to do this. We have to read from a book, or we have to open this chest in order to resurrect these things. But then in Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, it's so funny because they're trying to, like, defend this thing from Jet Li as he's trying to fucking do something. And then one of the women in this movie, she's like, oh wait, hold on. Ah! And then Yetis just come out of the fucking mountains. I'm like, wait, Yetis are just like a thing that are normally here, not resurrected? They're just in the mountains? What are we doing? What is this?
It does kind of break its own world a little bit, because it gets way more fantastical, and it's just like, oh, this is like a known thing in the world that Yetis can also exist. Like, granted, it is a mummy movie, and like there's like, I don't know, that feels more tangible, and the movie supports that, whereas and also a unicorn too. Like, it feels like so out of left field to include that. I'm actually looking up the Yetis right now because I'm like, I want to look at these fuckers.
It was just I'd forgotten that they were in there, but anyways, it was a fun little week of watching the Mummy movies. Like I said, it would have made more sense to do it before the Mummy 4 came out, but it was a good time. Don't watch movies in full screen. As a kid, I thought full screen was like, oh, you're getting the full thing. That makes sense to me. Widescreen, I don't like. Why is it cut off by the bars? I want the full thing. It's a fucking scam.
Yeah,
it's a scam.
Full screen is bad.
Yeah. Anyways, let us know what you think about the Mummy movies. I have a really fun time with the first two. I want you to rewatch Mummy Returns. I think it's so much more than just the Mummy again.
That, and it's in theaters. Well, I don't know if it still is, but it was in theaters.
25th anniversary.
Yeah, 25th anniversary. I'm like, God, that'd be kind of fun to go see and check out.
It's really fun.
Maybe what, in 2033 when Tomb of the Dragon Emperor gets the 25th anniversary, I'll go check that out.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah, there's no one clamoring for that.
Nobody wants that.
Everyone hates it. I am really, like, I'm interested to see where a fourth movie goes. I don't need the fourth one, but I like Rachel Weisz, I like Brendan Fraser. I'm excited to see them on screen again. I wonder if they're gonna make, like, anytime there's a cast change and they have to acknowledge, like, the appearance and the difference in appearance of that character, like with Ross in Captain America: Brave New World. Yeah, the mustache needed to lose it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you to say that. Like, it's just, I hope that they just, oh yeah, hey. Yeah, new adventure. Cool. Don't need to talk about the fact that I'm not Maria Bello anymore.
Yeah. Well, they do that in this movie too, where she's like, I feel like a completely different person. And you're like, stop. But now they have to do that again in The Mummy 4. Interesting to see how they'll do that.
I'm completely rejuvenated. I feel new again.
I feel like I was before that third one, or the last adventure. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
This reminds me of the way I felt in 2001.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to The Mummy 4. It could be fun. As far as other things this week, there wasn't a lot of other new releases, so I did a watch of a movie that Mason loaned me. He has a great steelbook of End of Watch that he mentioned last week, left it for me, and it is essentially kind of shot documentary style, and it's a movie that follows two police officers in South Central LA who are partners and close friends, and just kind of their day-to-day over the course of, I think it's like a couple months, and I really like this movie. I've wanted to watch this movie for so long. I remember seeing it on Netflix, just like scrolling through. I'm like, should I watch this today? And then I just didn't, and I never committed to it. But after hearing you kind of just talk about it a little bit last week, I really like it because Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal are the two cops here, and you just feel it's a buddy cop movie in the best way, where they're just like, they're wearing their fucking Oakleys in LA, and they're just bantering back and forth. Jake Gyllenhaal's doing a fucking racist Mexican accent, which is great. Michael Pena's making fun of white people shit. He's like, hey, you gonna go to the fucking opera this week or whatever? Take your girlfriend to that? All kinds of shit. But the movie, I love the movie starts out where they start off, they're chasing somebody, and then the person pulls a gun on them, and they shoot them, and it's like a fatal shooting, and then they come back on the force, and immediately the first thing that they do, they respond to a call, and Michael Pena starts fighting with a dude who is yelling at the mailman. Like, they're just in the house after just getting reinstated from shooting a guy like a couple months ago, and the guy's just giving him shit, just chirping him, and Michael Pena just drops everything. He's like, alright, let's fucking fight. He was like, really? I'm gonna fight a cop? He's like, yeah, let's fucking do it. It's so funny. And it's like the camaraderie between these two guys in the movie is really fun. I like the use of like the body cam and the dash cam and stuff. It's not entirely that. Like, there are other angles of the movie, so it's not all documentary style. But I think it works really well. It never got like gimmicky for me. Sometimes it can with like some found footage or whatever, those type of movies. But I liked just seeing this day to day as they're kind of like going through and seeing the cartel becomes a big part of this, and they're uncovering just like fucking bodies severed in houses, and they're just like, holy shit,
It's pretty dark.
We didn't realize when we responded to like a domestic call that this is what it was going to turn into. There's also a lot of great stuff just about the consequences and the repercussions of saving people. There's a scene where Pena and Gyllenhaal go into a burning house and save people, and like they get everybody out, and then they're like, there's still a girl in there, we have to go back in, and they like risk their lives to do that. But then afterwards, the Anna Kendrick, who is Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend, and then Michael Pena's wife, they're both like, we're happy you did that, but you could have lost your life. And the conversations both of the cop characters have about, like, we're doing the right thing, but at what cost? Like, we're saving other people's lives, but does that mean that we're sacrificing our own lives and our own families and stuff? And I think that plays into the end of the movie too, which is a very sad ending to a movie. It's very depressing. It was like, damn, I didn't know how the movie ended, which I'm happy I didn't have anything spoiled for me, but it's just like, fuck, it shows the brotherhood between people, and it's really emotional. So it's a really good watch. I'd highly recommend this movie. I don't, I obviously not a fucking cop, and I don't have any family members that are, but it felt very realistic to just the way that they're chirping each other in the car, but then when they need to turn on, they're like, all right, we need to fucking respond, we need to go. So really good movie. Thank you again for loaning that to me. Last couple weeks with like Red Eye and then this movie. It's been really fun watching those. Really like End of Watch.
This is proof that David Ayer can make a good movie.
Yes.
This and Fury. I love both of those movies. I think that they're really guys movies. Like, these are movies that I would watch with my brothers growing up. Like, I watch just about anything. My brother's typically, like, okay, my brother Blake, he doesn't watch this, so he doesn't know I'm going to call him out for this, but he very is regimented on, like, only sports movies, some horror, and war movies. Like, that's the stuff. And if I can find, like, something in there, like an End of Watch, I could probably make an argument, and he'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll watch that. Or, like, Fury, he loves Fury. He randomly loves some of the Final Destination movies, and that's cool, but this is a good movie to, like, watch with brothers. It's a movie about brotherhood, even though they're not related, but it's just, like, the camaraderie and the relationship, the connection you develop over time, especially when someone like that in your life, like, you're putting your life on the line a lot of times, and it's with the same person. You look out for each other. You're partnered together, and I like can never erase the ending of this movie, and I can always like envision Gyllenhaal up at the stand at the end of that movie. I can always see that in my head, just clear as day. And his just like affected look on his face. I'm like, oh, there's
a shot in an alley before the ending scene of the movie that is just like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's just so heartbreaking of just like seeing two cops. And actually, no, I'm going to talk about spoilers for end of watch. But like after they both get shot by these cartel members, and like Michael Pena's on the ground and he ends up dying, and then Jake Gyllenhaal gets shot and his body's on top of him, and then it's just a wide shot of them just laying there and seeing two cops just bleeding out is like, that's so heartbreaking. Yeah. And just after seeing the whole movie of their family, it's just like, fuck, I am sad right now, and I didn't expect that from this movie.
Yeah. Because it kind of has that front of being like I said, a guy's movie, right. But it does get to the point where we're like, oh, all right, well, now we're not going to talk for a little bit. We're just going to sit here in silence. This movie's sad, yeah. But it's really well done, and I like the approach to the filmmaking, the dash cam, the body cam, and more of like a handheld camera, almost like that documentary style, like you referenced. So really good movie. Definitely recommend if it's on Netflix, streaming anywhere. Check it out. Otherwise, buy a sick steelbook of it, because it's weird that you brought this up and I didn't even notice it, but it's. I think Frank Grillo is the cover of this, which he's not the lead. Like, it's Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, and Gyllenhaal's bald in this movie. This guy's got a lot of hair. Big
it's weird. Great. I mean, you had David Harbour in there. America Ferrera's in the movie. Like, good supporting cast, too.
It is a great cast. Yeah. Definitely recommend that movie. I watched just kind of a weird smattering of movies this week. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I think, is a massively underrated movie from, like, the 20-teens. It kind of just, like, went under the radar, I feel like. It's a Guy Ritchie directed film. It's an adaptation of a long-running old TV series. Guy Ritchie, obviously, he's made Snatch, he made Lock, Stock, he made the amazing Sherlock Holmes movies that I fucking... Pirates of the Caribbean, like all those swashbuckling adventure movies, I throw Sherlock Holmes in that too. That one and the same to me.
Gentleman's great.
Oh, The Gentleman's fucking... What? When the lion's hungry, he eats. Oh my god, I think about that scene a lot. Oh, but Man from U.N.C.L.E., it is one of the most like aesthetically pleasing movies for me. It's set in the 60s. You have kind of dueling nations, Russia and the United States kind of having to come together to face a bigger threat of this arms race, of this nuclear threat. And you got Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer before he was eating people, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe not. I don't know. It sucks that he's kind of canceled, because like watching this, I'm like, damn, he's good. Like, fuck, he's awesome. Like, that or The Social Network, it's like, this dude's awesome.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant's in this, and Jared Harris, which anytime he's in anything now, I'm just like, oh, now I need to rewatch Chernobyl. But this movie, like I said, early 1960s, you get like the spy espionage of these two unlikely teammates having to work together to try and solve an issue, and you get a lot of good, interesting humor between Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer being the Russian KGB guy, Henry Cavill coming from the CIA, and them just clashing and how they're like, oh, you guys just have this mic tech that you've had? Oh yeah, it's really outdated and it sucks ass compared to ours. And just like them dueling back and forth as they're working together. I think it's just such a fun spy movie. It's up there for my favorite Guy Ritchie film. I think it is kind of underrated. It's in my top 3, I'd say, for sure. Like, I also have The Gentleman up there. I think I prefer Lock, Stock more than Snatch. And like the first Sherlock Holmes movie, it'd be like those 4 of Lock, Stock, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gentleman, and Sherlock Holmes, all sitting around. I don't know what is definitively my favorite, but I really like this movie a lot. I'd recommend it. It's shot well. The costume design, the set decoration, it's fantastic. It's such a fun watch. I watched it with my wife. I was at home and I was like, I want to put on something, but I don't want to like... I sometimes will choose to be nice and not like put on something that is 100% only for me. I'm like, if I watch this, Allie might like this. And she immediately got wrapped up into it with me. And she was like, she loved it. So it made me really happy to show her something that she probably otherwise wouldn't have watched. A movie that my wife really wanted to watch this week that then I got to rewatch and see Sydney Sweeney naked was The Housemaid. So she read the book, my wife, and she really liked the book. It was interesting after having like the whole experience with Project Hail Mary of me reading that book and then watching that movie and getting kind of like the shock and the difference between the book and the movie. Now getting to go through that with my wife while she's just finished The Housemaid, wanted to watch the movie, and hearing her kind of notes on it where she really liked the movie, she loves the book, she prefers the book. There are some differences that she highlighted to me and that I asked about between the book and the movie, where she was like, well, they changed this for the movie and this is different. And I'm like, everything that my wife listed out, whether it was like a character motivation, how involved someone is in a character's death, like different aspects to the story. What was changed for the movie sounded like it was an improvement to me, at least. Granted, I didn't read the book, but I was like, oh, okay. So I just like the way that films are adapted, or books are adapted into film. It's just an interesting thing. It's a whole Oscar at the Academy Awards. And I think of like the screenplay ones, I always give more merit to the original screenplay, because I'm like, oh, that's a whole new idea. But when it's adapted, I'm like, I feel like I don't give that one enough flowers, just because that's a hard thing to do, to translate Project Hail Mary, 450 pages into 2 hours and 36 minutes. Like, that's a big story to kind of whittle down, get the core essentials, and still keep people happy that read the book. So I really like The Housemaid. It's directed by Paul Feig. It feels very much in that realm of A Simple Favor, at least the first one. I didn't see the second one.
You don't need to.
From what Corey's told me, I will skip it. But I love A Simple Favor. This is very much that same intrigue. This is like, and I don't mean this as a negative, I'm going to try to brace this as much. I watched Lifetime movies, like the Lifetime Network, with my mom all the time as a kid. Like, it was always just like the domestic, like the wife and like a conniving scheme, or someone's having an affair, or someone said something mean at book club. Like, it's just really simple stories, but they're really dramatic. The Housemaid feels like adult Lifetime, like not in the fact that you get to see some nudity, but more just like, oh, this is well made. Like, this is like mass appealing, good filmmaking, and it's basically like a melodrama. Like, it's a Lifetime story, kind of like this is a story that you'd see on the Lifetime Network, but it's a good movie. I really enjoyed rewatching it. My wife really liked it, even though she did still probably prefer the book. And then Caravan of Garbage, one of my favorite YouTube channels, Mr. Sunday's Movies. They review stuff. They do the Caravan of Garbage weekly on Thursdays, and they've been doing War of the Worlds right now, and I had never seen Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, which is a movie that I feel like gets a little bit maligned when you look at like the filmography of Spielberg, because you're looking at great film, perfect, all-timer, like, he's got a banger list. I don't need to tell you that. You know Spielberg by name. He's probably one of like the 5 directors you could name off the top of your head if you're an average film goer. But War of the Worlds is one that kind of gets slept on. It's also in like a slower period of his filmmaking of like the early 2000s. Like, you got Minority Report, you got Catch Me If You Can, you got The Term. Like, you got some movies, but like not some of his heavy hitters.
He's got like early 2000s for Spielberg. Like, even Munich too is really good.
Just
like,
slept on movies.
So many great movies that again are like maybe considered classics, but really good.
Yeah, and I've always heard about this movie and been interested, but I always like, oh, you don't need to rush out to it. It's good, but it's not great. I loved this.
Yeah.
I think that this movie is great. There are some things that maybe I would change, but like overall, I'm like, yes, you can feel that this is a Spielberg movie, because something that you were alluding to earlier of like the way he does exposition. Not only that, the way he, in a film, in Indiana Jones, in Jaws, he proposes a threat or an immediate conflict that the characters have to handle, and then while that's happening, a new conflict gets, and they just keep compounding and getting worse. Like, oh, a bomb's ticking, but also we're gonna drown, or something like some weird shit. Like, oh, there's an alien outside the door, but Tim Robbins is pointing a shotgun at my daughter. Like, what's going on right now? So, I think that he does a great job at creating conflict, putting characters in turmoil, and just making people have to make hard decisions. It makes it really engaging. It's really fun. The effects hold up relatively well for this movie, and this movie, I remember watching the older War of the Worlds. I forget when it came out. It was, I think, in the 50s, and that movie has like a lot of like the 1950s golden film, like life-ending event or massive apocalyptic event, and it has like the charm of like military men in like cheap uniforms, and it just looks kind of like, it's charming, and it looks a little cheap, but it's like, it's a classic. Watching this, you lose some of that, like, not that this movie is like super dour, but it's just a man on the run with his kids, and he's just trying to survive, and it gets pretty dismal at times. Like, there's a scene where they're driving in a van, and they're one of the only people probably in the United States that has an operating vehicle, and they're driving through this crowd of people, and they're all just like wearing on the car, like, let us in, give us the car, and they all basically get pulled out of the car, and he's just like at gunpoint. Tom Cruise is like, I just want my daughter out of the car. Let me get my daughter. You can have the car. Fuck it. I don't care. Let me get my daughter. And it's just seeing people break down and how fast it happens was really well done. The effects are great. I always kind of harp on child actors. Dakota Fanning plays Rachel, Tom Cruise's character's daughter, which Tom Cruise is a dad. He's kind of absent. He is divorced. He doesn't see his kids a lot. Anytime they come over, he's like, fuck, I didn't know I had you. I got fucking... those Wheaties are expired. We got condiments. We got ketchup and mustard in the fridge. do you guys need water? Like, what do you do? He's a very absent father. But him just kind of reconnecting with his kids over time and redeveloping those relationships. Dakota Fanning as Rachel is one of the best child performances I think I've ever seen. She is sensational. She probably gives the best performance in the fucking movie. And I like the conflict of Tom Cruise having to reconnect with his kids. And, like, there's a scene where his son, Robbie, who's played by Justin Chatwin, says, like, you want to dump us off on mom. You want us to find mom so that you can leave us and only have to worry about yourself. And which is 100% true. You can tell that based on just everything about Tom Cruise's character. But you can see that hit home with Ray, with Tom Cruise, and him experience that and be like, yeah, fuck, I am not a good dad. I am really failing you guys. And then just that reconnecting of them and trying to get on the same page and protect each other and get to that desired outcome or to that desired location of finding their mom and getting everyone together and trying to make sure everyone's okay. It's really good. The effects are great. The first hour flies by. It is nonstop. Yeah. The pacing gets a little bit wonky towards the end when we get introduced to Tim Robbins, which when he pops up, I was like, no fucking way Tim Robbins is in this movie. His character leaves a little bit more to be desired, but I think that creates a good kind of another examination of how people deteriorate over time when they're faced with life-ending events or apocalyptic events. And I think that the look of the aliens, the ships, everything, like, it feels very epic. And I think, yes, when you compare it to all the other Spielberg movies, it's going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit, but it's still very good. Like, I really liked it. Sadly, with it being that early 2000s Spielberg, similar to Minority Report, it has that white sheen, overexposed. I mentioned this to you before we recorded, but it's like J.J. Abrams watched War of the Worlds and Minority Report, and he was like, that's how all of my films are now going to look, which, not to shit on J.J. Abrams, I like J.J. Abrams, but it's just, it feels very one and the same to me, and it kind of dates the movie in that regard, too, so a little bit of a negative there, but overall, I really enjoyed this movie. There's some great practical effects, there's some great sets in this movie, it's massive in scale. I'd recommend this. If you're not watching it because it's like, oh, it's one of his lessers, it's still a banger. Like, it's awesome.
Even, like, if you were to take Spielberg from 2000 on, he has so many great movies. Oh, yeah. That's part of the reason why he's my favorite director, and I love him, and I think this movie and Collateral are probably two of my favorite Tom Cruise performances, and I think it's going to lead to him winning an Oscar this year. I'm going to make a prediction right now that he's going to win for Digger. I think so. I just from, we'll talk about CinemaCon stuff in a second, but the footage they showed there, some
of the details of the character and prosthetics.
I just think that it's going to happen, and I kind of hate the, like, Tom Cruise, Scientology, he's weird, and the Katie Holmes interview and the Ellen interview, whatever.
I think he can act. Dude can act really well. In this movie specifically, there are some scenes where he's just like, breaking down as a person, and you're just like, I've never seen Tom Cruise do this. Like, I'm not exposed to this so often, and he can act he's so good. He definitely is of that caliber. He just hasn't had that opportunity to really win it. He's been in Magnolia, he's been in great films, he's given dramatic performances, but, like, he's more known for Mission Impossible, for, like, the action guy, Top Gun, getting a Top Gun 3. The Mummy.
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that one for a good reason. But, like, this man can act, and he gives us just an excellent performance in this movie.
I can't wait to see Digger later this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's very exciting. Okay, into some TV stuff. We're going to talk about Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 5. We're just going to jump right into spoilers. I took a lot of notes on this episode, because this is the best episode of this season and of Born Again, the 2 seasons for sure. One of the better episodes of all of Daredevil, I think. This is what I've been waiting for. Yeah, this is the episode where I was like, this is it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sucks that we have to, like, flash back, and you can see the aspect ratio change.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you can make it look like that again, but you're not doing it. You're making it look disgusting and digital, but you can go back to, like, that yellow tint.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can do it!
Whenever it snapped back to present day, I was like, God damn it, I prefer the other. Go back.
100%. So, okay, to break this one down, episode 4 ended with Vanessa getting a fucking glass from the little statue in her skull. We didn't mention it last week, and maybe we didn't even know about it last week, because I didn't, but the Watcher is shows up in the, like, his eyes show up in the window after Bullseye and Daredevil go through it. He shows up. He's been in What If and some of the like Marvel Zombies, and like just popped up in the background of things. That's kind of interesting. But we see really this episode is two main storylines that we see. Fisk in the hospital with Vanessa as, you know, she's getting surgery and recovering, and then we see Daredevil trying to kind of hide Bullseye, trying to save him a little bit. For the Fisk and Vanessa stuff, Vanessa's having the flashbacks of them on the beach and all this stuff, which is really nice. I like that we had this episode to kind of ease into, again, spoiler alert, her death at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because we had talked about it, we're like, maybe this episode starts with like a funeral, but you called it like being in the hospital. And I think it was a really good move to be in the hospital for this episode, because their conversations, Vanessa and Fisk in the movie, were so good, and Vincent D'Onofrio was fucking giving it this episode.
Is maybe his best performance, I think, in Daredevil entirely.
It's a side of Kingpin of we just don't see. We haven't seen a lot of, where he's just vulnerable. Yeah. And, you know, when she wakes up after her surgery, he's just like, I didn't know if I was going to see you again.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just so happy. He's like, what do you need? Do you need food? Do you need water? Like, what do you need? Like, and it's just like a human thing that you see there. And it's so beautiful to see from this character that has fucking slammed somebody's head in a car door 800 times and killed so many people.
Isn't that in front of her, too? Or he's done horrible acts in front of Vanessa. And Vanessa's also done horrible acts. But, like, to get that moment of just, like, overwhelmed child. Mm-hmm. Just him being like, oh my god, thank god you're still here. Yeah. Like, and I'm really happy Vanessa died, because I think that needed to happen. Mm-hmm. For this character, for this show, we needed to lose a Fisk. And the way it was done, I don't love, like, even in episode 4 when she gets the glass in her head, I'm like, how far in did that go? Are you gonna be okay? Like, it left it open to where I'm like, she might live. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll do some show magic and she's fine. But early on, they kind of allude to, with some of the flashbacks, you can kind of get that they're foreshadowing she's gonna die. Yep. And you get some recounts and some images of them on a beach and just like their relationship, and we get a recount of their first date, that infamous painting that is still just so iconic for this show. And I was so caught off guard by how affected I was by that, and just how moving that moment, where she's basically coming out of like a coma state, and she's waking up and she's like, tell me a story, and just like trying to talk to him, and she's kind of flighty, she's a little gone, she's a little out of it, and it just, the slow realization of certain things on Fisk's face as he's just watching his wife kind of wither away. It was really upsetting and like really well done. I was really surprised by it, because I wanted her to die, and I was like, it needs to happen. And then it happened, and I was like, oh, fuck, you guys did it really well. Okay, shit, maybe she didn't need to die, actually. She could live. I'm sorry.
It was really well handled, and I love the flashbacks, too. You mentioned that Rabbit in the Snowstorm painting, and the first time he goes to the art studio. We see Wesley again. Wesley's such a great character from season 1.
Home again. Before
Karen fucking shoots him. He was great. It was one thing that like kind of threw me off a little bit, when Wesley and Fisk are in the car, and Wesley's saying something, and Fisk is like, "Have you heard of Bitcoin?"
That took me out too.
Okay, yeah, it was interesting, but it worked for the scene. But seeing that, and you kind of see the origins of meeting Buck, I think it's a great way to kind of bridge the gap between these two shows, or the seasons, I guess. The other kind of storyline here with Bullseye and Daredevil, this is some of my favorite stuff I've seen from Daredevil in a long time, because we do get those flashbacks to Foggy and Matt being lawyers, the avocados at law they make the jokes of, and seeing, I love that is some of my favorite stuff from the original run of Daredevil, where it's them working on a case and Foggy and Matt debating how to handle this case.
Disagreeing.
Yeah, and disagreeing. And because there's this guy that they are representing, and they find out that, you know, there's evidence against him that's like, all right, well, he could be free because he didn't do this specific thing.
Yeah.
But he's a criminal, and he's done a lot of other bad things, and Matt is like, he's a bad guy, and we have this evidence. We don't necessarily have to give it to someone to the the court or whatever, because he's done bad things. And Foggy's like, yes, but we have to show mercy because in this specific case, he didn't do this thing, and we need to do the right thing. And that dynamic is the core. And like just having Foggy for an episode, I'm like, he's so good. Eldon Henson's so good.
Having him back and having him basically throw the Bible at Matt and being like, don't they say something about mercy in the Bible?
Yeah.
And just like, because that, yes, this is a great episode, but the fact that the flashback, that ties into both stories.
Yep.
The flashback, there's not two separate flashbacks at different time periods for the Fisk storyline and the Daredevil storyline. It is both of their current events flashback to the same time period, the same moment, basically, where that case that they're working on coincides with Fisk and with the introduction of Buck and Fisk meeting Vanessa and all that. It works so well, and how Buck gets introduced and all that, and just when Foggy shows up at this guy's house after he's basically been dropped of all charges because there's like some error on the warrant, which is like a clerical thing, a technical thing, but because it's flubbed, like, all right, well, they didn't have a proper warrant, all this is dismissed. Like, you can't really throw him in jail for this stuff now. Him showing up at that guy's door with the $1,700 that they had saved up, and he was like, dude, you need to leave. And like that backstory of Foggy knowing this guy, and this guy kind of razzing Foggy and calling him Foggy the Fembot.
Fembot, yeah.
And him still going to bat for him, like, God damn it, I miss this character so much. He's so good. And their disagreements, and like, all right, well, yeah, next 50 beer runs are on you. Like, you're paying, because that was our money that you just gave to this guy. But I like Foggy throwing the Bible in his face. And then also we get times with, like, that coincides of, hey, you need to show mercy in this case, but also in present day where Matt's like, I'm just going to leave Bullseye to the wolves. Like, anti-vigilante task force is here. I need to get out of this church. I can't help you anymore. And then he has that moment, and you get that coinciding with the flashback of like showing mercy, of doing what's right. And he's like, fuck. And then he has to go back in and save.
Yep.
Like, just the shot of just him walk up, his hand comes into frame, and Bullseye just like claps into. I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah, it's again, that's just a part of what I loved about that run is Foggy and Matt, and even Karen, I guess to a certain extent, kind of defending imperfect clients and having to deal with that, to the Bullseye and Matt stuff in the church, and even like their journey through the tunnel into the church and everything. Like Bullseye is just like, all right, just fucking leave me or whatever, and he's like saying Foggy's name, and Matt's like, don't fucking say his name, you killed him. There's a great line that Matt says when they're walking through the tunnels, and he's like, I'm trying to save you because I tried to kill you. Yeah. In Daredevil Morning in Season 1, when he throws him off the fucking roof, just fucking splats him.
Yeah.
But it's such a effective thing, and again, just like Foggy coming through in those moments. And then in the church, too, I think, again, what we've been hoping for from the show is like those conversations, whether it's in a church or not, but Bullseye is talking about, he says something like, we are who we are, and we're all going to do whatever we're going to do, and it doesn't really make a fucking difference.
Yeah.
And he's like, you think that you've outrun your past, with Bullseye from Season 3, and everything he's done, and killing Foggy, and he's like, you think that you've gotten past it, but then it catches back up to you. Mm-hmm. And that back and forth is so interesting, and again, just intercutting with, Foggy going back and giving that guy the money, and just, it's such great parallel editing within the show, and I think it is just such a effective way to end the episode, thinking back on it, of Fisk failing to save the person that he loves, but Matt saves a person that he hates. It's beautiful, and that is always what's been great about Daredevil in that original run of the show, and I'm so happy we've gotten back to it now. This is like the most passionate we've been about talking about Born Again in Season 1 or 2.
These last two episodes especially. That like episode 4, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Like this is scratching at Netflix now. Like we're getting back to that same page, and now we're there. We've made it finally. It does kind of feel a little bit like a cop-out. It's like, all right, well, we get Wesley and we get some of the flashbacks, and now it feels more like Netflix. Like, granted, yes, that it does play into it, but also just the storytelling that's happening. These are very personal stories. Yes, you have all like the big conflict of anti-vigilante task force still looking for people, Fisk trying to like deal with Vanessa. Like the conflicts are still there, but you get a lot of personal moments, and like the regret that Bullseye's experiencing of just like, I should have died. You pushed me off that roof 4 stories. I landed basically on my neck. There's no reason why I should be here. And kind of the regret he has for the life he's lived so far and all the people he's killed. And he's just like, I'm just trying to basically even the scales. I'm trying to balance the scales. He says that. And I'm just like, God, I never thought that this character could be redeemed. Not that he is, but like, okay, that is a possibility now for me. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of nuance to Bullseye's character that I wasn't really expecting. And I think that they've done a great job kind of bringing him back into the fold. Give me 18 episodes this season. Like, geez, I'm sold on it. Finally. I've liked almost all of Born Again, but now I love it. This makes me want to rewatch Daredevil seasons 1 through 3 on Netflix. It's just, now it's on Disney Plus, but the Netflix run. It's just, this episode made me an excited Daredevil fan. Also, I watched this episode this morning, which watching an episode of Daredevil during the daylight, when you have windows in your living room and your TV's on and you have to turn your brightness all the way up, it flashed me back to like 2016 watching Daredevil on Netflix in my like childhood home and being like, fuck, I can't see this. I need to watch that at night. But I wanted to watch it before I came over today so we could talk about it. But yeah, just an excellent episode.
This is the first time with Born Again that we were always going to watch this show because we're big MCU fans. We want to be caught up with it, and we love Daredevil. But this is the first time where I'm like, if this wasn't connected to the MCU and this was just a show, I'm pumped to watch the next episode. Yeah. So we can't wait to talk about the next episodes. I know we said we may not cover each individual episode, but this one fucking caused it. And can't wait to see where this goes. Fisk is probably going to do some wild shit going forward.
Now I'm like, all right, I still feel, if anything, more confident that Fisk is probably going to meet a demise, likely death towards the end of the season or during like the Punisher one-shot. I'm like, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun to cover. The other show that I'll just talk about briefly, Maul Shadowlord, episodes 3 and 4 came out this week. Still just awesome Star Wars. We were talking about it with our buddy Phil last night, and he was like, this is what I've wanted from Star Wars for so long. I completely agree. It's just that, again, it's kind of the crime underworld stuff, but dealing with Maul, who's such a cool character. Just briefly, episode 3, we get this new Jedi named Devin, which is kind of,
vanilla name for a Jedi.
Yeah, kind of interesting. There's so many cool names in Star Wars. Yeah, Devin. Right. But I like her character so far. But there's just, this episode really is just Maul and Devin, and he's kind of trying to corrupt her and being like, you have like an unfulfilled destiny that you need to serve here after the fall of the Jedi. And there's just a great scene where they're talking, they're having like tea or something, and then all the light cuts out, and then just the red lightsaber ignites in the dark, and Maul is just talking to her as she's trying to like find her way out of this. Because like Maul's lightsaber breaks in two, he has the double-sided, so she has one of them, and it's just her trying to find her way out as Sam Witwer's voice is just talking to her. It's fucking awesome. There's a really cool kind of lightsaber fight that they have on a bridge at the end of this episode. And something that's really cool that they do audio-wise is with that split lightsaber, Devin has one of them, but then Maul has another one. And the way that they ignite, it's a different sound. And because the sound designers use Sam Witwer's scream as the sound of his lightsaber igniting. So like she ignites it, and it's like a normal thing, but then they ignite Sam Witwer, Darth Maul, he ignites his, and it's just this different eerie sound, and it's such a cool like visual or kind of audio detail that they do there that I just love to be like, this dude is just fucking crazy. So really cool thing there. Episode 4 also really cool. Maul goes to the Pike Syndicate. He's kind of taken all these different crime groups, and it's kind of similar to the way that Snoke dies in Last Jedi, with the Pike leader like having the lightsaber in his hand, and then Maul just ignites it and just chops him in half, uses the Force to pull it towards him, chops another dude in half as it's coming back to him. It's a fucking awesome opening scene. And it's just, again, at the end of episode 4, another cool lightsaber fight between a couple Jedi and Maul, as he's kind of talking to them about, like, you're not using your power to your full potential, and, like, surviving versus living after Order 66, and he's like, just lean into your darkness and all that kind of stuff is really good. And I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but Wagner Moura is the voice in the show. He's Brander Lawson. Great Star Wars name.
That's a Star Wars.
Better than Devin. Yeah. So, really good episodes here. Really liked them. Kind of leaves off on a note of the Empire coming to Janix, this kind of crime planet. So, really excited to keep watching it for the next few episodes we get here.
Yeah, I honestly might end up checking this one out. You're kind of selling me a little bit on this one. And I've watched some of the Star Wars animation. I haven't watched, obviously, all of it. But I love Clone Wars. I tried with Rebels. I just couldn't stick with it. But this one, I like Maul enough. Like, that is a good selling point. So I'm like, fuck, I'll check it out. One thing before we get into new releases, I finished Children of Dune. I read that book. That book is dense. The middle like third of that book is very slow moving. But I love the Dune book so much. And reading Children of Dune and how nutty it gets, and there's a character turning into a sandworm, like a human character turning into a sandworm, starting that process. The book is nutty. Reading that with Dune Messiah and having those two completed going into Dune Part 3, I can't fucking wait. Like, I might be setting myself up to be a little disappointed. I'm also just like, I know Denis Villeneuve is going to cook, because he does every time. I'm so excited to see what all he adapts and how he adapts it. I want them to bridge into Children of Dune, because I feel like you can scrape off maybe like the first quarter of Children of Dune and include that as like the epilogue to a Dune Messiah, or the complete story of what's going on with the Atreides family. I loved the book. It is a little slow. It's dense at times, but it's really out there, and it's all the Dune books so far have been fun reads. I'm going to go on to God Emperor, and I'm going to read that next. I'm going to finish that before, obviously, Dune Part 3. And then I'll probably stop. But for now, at least I'll read the 5 and 6, Heretic and Chapter House. I'll read those later. But I am really enjoying reading through these books. If you've never read the Dune books, read the first one. It is the best book I've ever read in my life. It is so awesome. And Dune Messiah is a great epilogue to that first book. So I definitely recommend those books. And I'm reading a lot more, so I'm watching a lot less, and it's that balance. It sucks. Mm-hmm. Moving into the new releases coming out April 24th, we have a lot of them, so I'm just gonna pepper through them. We got the one big one, which is Michael, obviously about Michael Jackson, directed by Antoine Fuqua, who did Training Day, Olympus Has Fallen, and the Equalizer films. This is starring Michael's nephew, I believe, Jafar Jackson, Coleman Domingo, Miles Teller, Nia Long. This is the story of the famous musician, which, from what I've heard, this is going to be a two-parter. At least I believe there's going to be a sequel. This film covers, I think, up until the Jackson 5, up until Michael Jackson has the Thriller video and the filming of that music video, which is so iconic. So that is the biggest release of this week. It's likely going to make gangbusters at the box office. It's going to do a lot of money and a lot of good for the theater industry. I'm not the biggest musical biopic fan. I somewhat like Michael Jackson's music. I will likely check this one out just because I feel like this is a event movie of this year. So I'm pretty excited for that one coming out this week. Moving into a couple of limited releases, or at least we got a couple of limited releases this week, I believe. But Over Your Dead Body is coming out. This is starring Jason Segel and Samara Weaving. There's been a couple of trailers that I've seen about this married couple, this dysfunctional married couple retreating to a secluded cabin to kill each other, which they don't know that they're trying to kill each other, but they quickly find that out. This is directed by Jorma Taccone, who is a co-director of Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping. He's one of the Lonely Island guys. He's very funny. I'm actually somewhat interested in that, so maybe I'll check that out as well. We have Fuse coming from director David Mackenzie, who did Hell or High Water. This is starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, Theo James, Sam Worthington. And it's an unexploded World War II bomb is discovered on a busy construction site in the center of London. Chaos ensues as the military and police begin a mass evacuation against a ticking clock. I haven't watched the trailer. I didn't know anything about this, but David Mackenzie being attached to it makes me a little bit more interested, so hopefully I'll check that one out. Desert Warrior, coming from director Rupert Wyatt, who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Gambler, Captive State. This is Anthony Mackie, an honorable and mysterious rogue known as a Hanzala, makes himself an enemy of the Emperor Kursa, doesn't matter, after he helps a fugitive king and a princess in the desert. Know nothing about that movie, probably won't check it out because I got Michael and maybe Fuse and maybe Over Your Dead Body this week. Moving into I Swear, which kind of has a little bit of some clout around it. But this is directed by Kirk Jones, starring Roberta
Robert Aramayo. Sorry, I typed it wrong.
That's fine.
It's Robert. He won the SAG Award.
He won the
for
SAG
Best
Award.
Actor,
So that is the main interest I have in this movie, is wanting to see this for that performance. I know little to nothing about this movie except for it's about a man diagnosed with Tourette syndrome at a young age, which alienates him from his peers and him kind of learning to deal with that condition. So I might check that one out. And then on Netflix release this week, we have Apex, which I've seen a lot of trailers for. It's coming from director Baltazar Kormákur, Two Guns, and Everest and the Beast. Everest is a great movie. I really
Two
love
Guns
it.
is tight,
Two
dude.
Guns is... the trailers for Two Guns were great. I don't know if the movie's good. This is starring Charlize Theron, Taron Egerton, and Eric Bana. When an adrenaline junkie, played by Charlize Theron, sets out to conquer a menacing river, she discovers that nature isn't the only thing out for blood. This is the Taron Egerton against Charlize Theron in the woods. Hunter hunting. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll check that one out. It's a quiet-ish release week outside of Michael, but those smaller releases I'm still relatively excited for. Moving into what we purchased lately, I talked about War of the Worlds, the 2005 Steven Spielberg film. I bought the 4K Blu-ray of that and watched that this week. And then I also, after talking about David Ayer and talking about Fury, I bought the 4K Blu-ray of Fury because I love that movie. But yeah, I will 1 week not buy a movie. Don't know when.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Why not? This week we do have a lot of stuff coming out. We have new releases from this year. We have Send Help, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, Primate, Shelter, Strangers Chapter 3.
Get that.
Nope.
I'm gonna get it for you.
And then, okay. And then Christie, Die My Love from last year coming out, and then some 4K releases of Point Blank, The Ninth Gate, and Sleepers on 4K. Okay. This is going to be a longer episode today because there's, aside from all the things we talked about, CinemaCon happened. We're going to get into that in a second. First thing, CinemaCon, not related things to that. First thing, Wonka 2 got announced with Timothée Chalamet and Paul King coming back to do that movie. I enjoy Wonka. It's a pretty fun movie. I'm down for that. I think there's room to do another movie. CinemaCon we'll talk about. One thing or a couple trailers in here. The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. Lionsgate did not go to CinemaCon, but they released that trailer this week. It looks really cool. Yeah. I'm really excited for that movie. Being a kind of recent fan of the movies, I'm really stoked to see that one. And then Passenger is a movie that the trailers worked really well. The tagline has worked really well, of just people like stopping on a road trip and then getting abducted. Great. I love that idea. It looks really cool. So CinemaCon, we had, if you're not familiar with it, it takes place in Las Vegas, and it's basically the meeting between theater owners and studios. Studios come together and kind of pitch their ideas, or pitch their slates for the rest of the year, for the upcoming year, show some trailers, maybe, reveal some news. It's a really fun time. It's kind of, for me, I guess, has gotten bigger than Comic-Con at this point, where it's just like, this is sort of the thing where all the big players go.
Big announcements happen.
The big announcements happen. It's really cool. So we had a lot of different things, different studios. We're going to run through, there's a lot of stuff to get through. We're not going to cover all of it. I tried my best to
stay on top of it during the week.
Stay on top of it, cover everything that happened. We're not going to get to all of it. We're not going to go in depth on everything, but just wanted to mention a lot of things. First thing, the trailer for Godzilla Minus Zero did come out at CinemaCon, which so excited for. Godzilla Minus One, an Oscar-winning movie. We both really like it. Oh, yeah. And we see the Statue of Liberty in the trailer. That's pretty exciting. It's coming to America.
Godzilla's bigger.
He's coming to America. That's pretty cool. So,
Eddie Murphy's in this one?
Yeah, Toho, they got some good stuff, so I'm excited for that. It'll be pretty cool. I think it's like November of this year, or in the fall at some point. Okay, so just gonna run through studios. We'll maybe just comment after the end of each one and just initial thoughts. Yeah. But some movies from Studio Canal, a European studio that maybe not a lot of people know, but they are releasing a lot more stuff recently. Cliffhanger is going to be coming out in August. And then we got maybe the biggest announcement is a Paddington 4 is coming out. Also, an animated Paddington movie is going to be coming out as well. Don't have release dates or anything. They talked about a new Pippi Longstocking movie, Mr. Men, a remake of The Howling, a remake of Escape from New York.
Stupid.
And then Fonda from Justine Triet, who did Anatomy of a Fall, which I'm pretty curious about. I like that. They showed some footage of Shaun the Sheep, the Beast of Mossy Bottom. Hell yeah. as kind of a more recent fan of Wallace and Gromit and that whole kind of animation style and studio, I'm excited about that. A movie called Everybody Wants to Fuck Me, which I don't know if they're going to be able to keep that title.
I hope they do.
I hope they do. Taron Egerton is a guy that just thinks that everybody wants to fuck him. That's hilarious. I love that. That's really funny. That's coming out in 2027. And then Ink, a Danny Boyle's next movie. It's about The Sun, which is a UK paper, so kind of a journalism type movie. Sounds really interesting, really cool. And then we got a trailer released for Ice Cream Man, which is Eli Roth's next movie. I'm very hit or miss with Eli Roth, but I do really like Thanksgiving. This movie, or the trailer at least, seems like it could be kind of in that same vein where I have fun with it and some of the fun gore.
Yeah. I'm somewhat interested in the Ice Cream Man simply for the same reasons that you mentioned. I don't need a remake of Cliffhanger. I love that movie. I grew up with the Sylvester Stallone movie, but the biggest thing for Studio Canal is the Paddington news, at least for me, just because I love the Paddington franchise. I think the Paddington Bear is the most charming character in all of film. So that's kind of cool. Studio Canal, it's a little bit of a smaller studio, but some decent announcements here, and I hope to God they keep that title if Everybody Wants to Fuck Me. It's just so perfect. That's going to be... You can do so much with that poster.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Moving into Sony, they made some big announcements. The Helldivers movie from Justin Lin, starring Jason Momoa, that's going to be coming out next November. They talked about Buds, which is an animated movie coming out. Grand Gear, which Takashi Yamazaki is directing, J.J. Abrams producing. It sounds like it's kind of a Pacific Rim kaiju type-ish movie. Sounds pretty fun. Coming out in 2028. Again, all these release dates are like tentative. You know, they say these things and it's like, they'll flip around, whatever.
They'll shift.
But we're just saying them as they announce them. And then an animated Bloodborne movie they announced as well. They did show some footage from Spider-Man Brand New Day. And again, a lot of this footage they only showed at CinemaCon, and they had like a very specific technology that if somebody pulled their phone out at CinemaCon, a laser pointed at their phone, and they knew that that person was recording. So that's why we probably won't see the Avengers Doomsday leaked trailer for a while, or any of these other things, which is very frustrating. But it's, just, I guess that's kind of good to not release that stuff. But, so we had Spider-Man Brand New Day. They did release 2 posters, which I like one of them, of MJ in the eye of the Spider-Man mask. The other one is just like him jumping at the hand or whatever. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we had other footage shown of Zach Kreger's Resident Evil, The Social Reckoning. Jumanji Open World is going to be the next Jumanji movie. We got that title revealed. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, we had a few images released from it. Looks like there may be some time travel-y type things, possibly, from what I've heard. Really excited for that. And then Clara and the Sun, which is Taika Waititi's next movie. And the one trailer that was released there that we actually got released to the public was Insidious Out of the Further. There's been a lot of different names for this movie. There was like Thread and Insidious Tale and all this type of shit. But Insidious Out of the Further, I enjoy the first Insidious a lot, and all the sequels I think are very okay.
I love the second one. Okay. I think the second one's great. I like those first 2 Insidious movies more than I like the first 2 Conjuring movies.
Ooh.
Yeah, I prefer that franchise. I haven't seen all of the Insidious movies. I actually really like Insidious Chapter 3 as well. Yeah. But 1 and 2 I think are really solid horror movies, and that first one actually scares me.
Mm-hmm. Moving into Warner Brothers, they had a very big slate and a lot of big announcements I am going to rip through. They tease that they want to release 18 movies in 2027. We'll see if that actually happens. I guess the first big thing is that they released a new label called Clockwork, which is kind of akin to Focus Features at Universal or like a Searchlight type of thing that was 20th Century Fox, now Disney obviously, but kind of a more independent, kind of smaller movie label. Cool, I'm down with that. It looks like it had some like Stanley Kubrick type on the logo at least, like kind of akin to that. So the first movie under that label is going to be Ti Amo from Sean Baker. I hope I like this movie more than Anora. That'd be cool. Because I like the Florida Project, so just an interesting note from Warner Brothers there. Other movies that they're releasing, I'm going to run through these, and we can comment on any one of these that we want to.
Rip them.
Animal Friends, Remain, which is M. Night Shyamalan's movie that he's writing with Nicholas Sparks. I guess.
Sure.
Panic Carefully, which is Sam Esmail's new movie, who did Leave the World Behind. Godzilla Kong Supernova. Hell yes, we're gonna see that together. The Revenge of La Llorona, because this Conjuring universe isn't dead, like I'll mention in a couple seconds here. A movie called Fast. Bad Fairies, which is Cynthia Erivo is a fairy or something. An Ocean's prequel with Margot Robbie and Bradley Cooper. We've covered that a little bit. Bradley Cooper's going to be writing and directing that movie. Man of Tomorrow, the Superman movie. Adria Arjona joined the cast this week. It was initially reported she was Maxima, like we talked about last week. But then some people are disputing that and saying she was just cast in the movie and not actually that character right now. We'll see if she's Wonder Woman. We'll see if she's here. Whatever. We'll see what comes about. A Minecraft sequel, Shiver, which this one's really interesting. Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool, Terminator Dark Fate, he's directing Keanu Reeves in a time loop shark movie. Fuck yes. That sounds awesome. Speaking of it, The Conjuring First Communion, a prequel to the Conjuring movies. After The Conjuring 4 made a bunch of money, they said, actually, this isn't done yet. We're going to make more money. The Batman Part 2, obviously coming out next October. Margie Claus. This isn't the first time we'll talk about Mrs. Claus here, but Melissa McCarthy is going to be voicing that character in this animated movie. Gremlins 3, The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, which they had a little cast reveal thing. Kind of the main thing there was Jamie Dornan's going to be playing Aragorn or Strider.
I like that casting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I think it's a good choice. They kind of revealed Kate Winslet and Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, all that stuff that we kind of already knew. The Places You'll Go, the Dr. Seuss book. Evil Dead Wrath, Final Destination 7. Dynamic Duo, which is an animated movie about the Robins, Dick Grayson, and what's the fuck the other one? Jason Todd. And then we have the Hello Kitty movie. I know you're excited about that one.
Oh, yeah.
The Flood, which is going to be Zach Kreger's next movie that he's directing. Gladys, also coming out, a movie he's writing. The Lunar Chronicles, and then a Baz Luhrmann movie about Joan of Arc. And then Game of Thrones, Aegon's Conquest, which doesn't have a release date yet, but I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
Some footage that was shown there. Mortal Kombat 2, Supergirl, Evil Dead Burn, The End of Oak Street, Practical Magic 2, Digger, Clayface, The Cat in the Hat, The Great Beyond, Dune Part 3. We didn't have any of that revealed to us. We can't really speak on that. I heard the Clayface stuff was really cool, just from the description. Really excited about that. Some of these other ones we've had are... we've seen trailers for. The one that I'm most curious about is The Great Beyond, which is J.J. Abrams' next movie. I like J.J. Abrams a lot. Yeah. I think that's maybe a hot take, I guess, because people don't like him. But Warner Brothers had a very good slate, I feel like, this year.
Yeah, they got a massive slate. Did you also, when you saw The Mummy, did they have the Evil Dead Burn little teaser in front of it?
They did not, no.
Oh, so I got to see that in front of The Mummy, and it looks sweet. It's the first thing I've seen for this movie, so I'm really excited. Just because, again, we liked Evil Dead Rise a lot. Mm-hmm. I heard that Dune Part 3 that they showed the first 17 minutes of the fucking movie. I will pay any amount of money to go to CinemaCon one of these years. That sounds so awesome. We need to make it there. But that's crazy. I'm so jealous. I've heard descriptions of what they show in that. I'm like, fuck. Also, a lot of talk on Digger. More developments about Tom Cruise, what his role is, what that story is about of this oil tycoon who has to fix basically the damage that he's done to the world. And I can't wait for that movie. So, Warner Brothers had a gangbusters slate. So much shit to talk about. I'm really excited for Mortal Kombat 2. I know it comes out on my birthday, but that's going to be a fun watch. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Yeah.
Universal was the next studio up. Kind of the big movie that they announced is there's a Snoop Dogg biopic coming out. Hell fucking yeah. Craig Brewer's going to direct it. That's going to be sweet. Some footage that they showed there was for Disclosure Day, Minions and Monsters, The Odyssey, which they showed, I think, the first 7 minutes of, and it was the Trojan Horse scene, which just from people that were there, sounds really cool. Other Mommy, which is a movie I didn't know anything about. Rob Savage is directing it. It's a horror movie with Jessica Chastain, and it's basically there's two Jessica Chastains in the movie, and the kid is kind of it's a horror movie, and the kid's trying to figure out which mom is his or something like that. Sounds really cool. The Sense and Sensibility, kind of a new adaptation of that. Violent Night 2. Hey, here's the other Mrs. Claus reference. Kristen Bell is playing Mrs. Claus in Violent Night 2. That's fun.
Sure.
I like the first movie.
Yeah.
And then Werewolf, the Robert Eggers movie. That'll be really fun. It's, Robert Eggers is fucking awesome. I love him a lot. And then we had the trailer release for Focker-in-Law, the next movie in the Meet the Fockers franchise. I actually haven't seen any of the Meet the Fockers or Meet the Parents or anything. I'm excited to watch them, but from this trailer, it looks like it's pretty fun. Ariana Grande's in it. Looks like it's kind of playing on, from what I understand, is kind of the theme of these movies, and she looks like she's having a fun time, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I can't wait for Disclosure Day this year, and obviously The Odyssey. Other Mommy is interesting. I'm interested in that. Jessica Chastain just likes horror movies with mommy or mama in the title.
Mama.
But Focker-in-Law, I didn't watch the trailer. I'm a big fan of at least those first two movies of Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. I grew up with Meet the Fockers. I love that movie. Little Fockers is like fine, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if I needed a fourth one similar to like the Mummy franchise, but I'll take it. It's harmless.
Yeah. Moving into Amazon, MGM, they were next up, and they made an announcement that they want to release at least 15 films a year in theaters. That's a big theme here at CinemaCon, is with all the theater owners present, they kind of talking about wanting to, at least like even the Sony CEO, he was like, I want to make movies that are accessible to people, make them cheaper for people, less ads before movies, all that kind of stuff. That's a great message. Longer theatrical windows, that's awesome. Kind of the biggest thing that we didn't get news about really was the James Bond casting. They said it was underway. I'm glad they're not rushing it. They said there's going to be more updates to come. We'll see in the coming weeks and months if they release something there. But they did show some footage from The Sheep Detectives, Masters of the Universe, How to Rob a Bank, which is David Leitch's new movie, Verity, I Play Rocky, which is Peter Farrelly directing, and it's about Sylvester Stallone making Rocky, which sounds pretty interesting. The Thomas Crown Affair, which Michael B. Jordan is directing and writing and starring in. Spaceballs, the new one. We got a little teaser. We didn't get the footage that was shown at CinemaCon, but we got a teaser of Mel Brooks saying, hey, we all know that you thought it was going to be called Spaceballs, The Search for More Money, but I found the money. It was in my basement. I like that little teaser. I think that's a perfect way.
I'm happy that they acknowledge it.
I'm happy they acknowledge it, and I think Spaceballs, the new one, is a perfect title for this movie. That's fantastic. He's like, hey, it's another one. 100-year-old Mel Brooks is just having fun, and that's just like a perfect Mel Brooks joke of like, I found the money. It's over there in my basement. So that's great. A Cult is My Passport, Gareth Evans' new movie. Your Mother is another release they have, which is kind of interesting because Bassem Tariq is directing it, Mahershala Ali is starring. Famously, they were going to work on Blade together, but now this movie is happening. And then the Highlander movie as well. So, some interesting things from Amazon. Any thoughts on their stuff?
Not really. I'm excited for Highlander. I wish that there's a little bit more information on Bond, but I'm also like, don't rush it. I'm not in a rush to get a new Bond now that I know the team behind it with Denis Villeneuve. I have confidence in it. It's just like, okay, cool. I love No Time to Die. Let's let that just rest still a little bit. I'm fine with a little bit of a longer gap in between Bond films. And yeah, the Spaceball stuff is genius. Thank you, Mel Brooks. I hope you live to be 120.
He's fantastic. Next up was Paramount, which obviously is at the center of the Paramount Warner Brothers merger right now. I've heard some things that like maybe it won't go through. I don't know. It's up in the air. Yeah. We'll see. Money, business stuff is always interesting. But David Ellison, the CEO, he came out and said that they want to release 30 films every year combined between Paramount and Warner Brothers in theaters. So that's great. Some movies they announced: Get Light, which is Teyana Taylor's directorial debut, I believe it is. A Quiet Place Part 3. TMNT Mutant Mayhem 2, which Shredder and Krang. Shredder was in the post-credits scene of the first one. That's awesome. That's coming out next August. The Call of Duty movie coming out in June of 2028.
What
Peter
the
Berg.
Fuck is that going to be? What the fuck is a Call of Duty movie?
I'm kind of excited.
I am too, but who do we follow? Why is this different than any other war movie?
Give me Reznov or something in there.
Okay, if it's just if that's what the movie is, Reznov. Okay, fine.
That'd be tight.
Yeah, never mind. You sold me on that.
100%. Some other things they announced. Top Gun 3. We've heard about it for a long time. It's happening. Tom Cruise coming back. Jerry Bruckheimer's producing it. The High Side with James Mangold directing, Timothée Chalamet starring. They obviously worked on A Complete Unknown together. We got an announcement of a new Star Trek movie with John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein directing, behind Dungeons & Dragons and Game Nights. So I'm actually pretty confident in that team working on a Star Trek movie. World War Z 2. That's been talked about for a long time. We'll see if it actually happens, but sounds like it.
Weird development.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to happen. A Longlegs follow-up with Good Perkins directing and Nicolas Cage starring, probably a prequel of some sort to that character.
Interesting.
The Damien Chazelle movie with Cillian Murphy, I don't know that if it has a title released yet, but the other cast in that movie sounds fucking awesome.
Is that him and isn't Daniel Craig in that one too?
I think Daniel Craig's in there too. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. Kind of his performance, people are like, oh, maybe supporting actor. Yeah. So that'll be great. The Naughty List, Robert Rodriguez is directing. The Gangster, the Cop, and the Devil, James Wan's directing that. It's a remake of I think a South Korean movie.
Yep.
And then they announced new installments in the G.I. Joe, Transformers, Paranormal Activity, and Possession franchises. They also showed some footage from the new Scary Movie, Jackass Best and Last. Finally gave that movie a title for Jackass 5. Apparently the last movie. We'll see.
Johnny's like, I will die. I can't take another kick to the head. Like, I will die.
Can't fucking do it. Paw Patrol, the Dino movie. Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol, which is Ty West's movie. The Angry Birds movie 3. Mr. Irrelevant, which actually I'm kind of excited for that movie. David Cornsweet is playing John Tuggle, who is on the Giants. Mr. Irrelevant is the last pick in the NFL draft. That sounds pretty fun. And then Heart of the Beast, David Ayer, speaking of him, he's directing the movie starring Brad Pitt. Children of Blood and Bone, and Sonic the Hedgehog 4. And then we had a trailer released to the public for Street Fighter, which I haven't played any of the Street Fighter games, but it looks pretty fun. I think it could be either really, really fun or a big disaster. I don't know.
I have confidence in this movie. Okay. I think it's going to be better than Mortal Kombat 2. I think it's going to be an awesome movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't played a lot of Street Fighter, but I'm just like, it's amazing how well they incorporated the feel of the games into the movie. It has so much energy to it. I'm like, yeah, this looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I am so intrigued by the Ebenezer movie. From Ty West and Johnny Depp. I just want more information on that always. But other than that, yeah, kind of a quieter release slate. I don't need a Longlegs follow-up, but I guess we can do that. Revisit that weird fucking character again. Why not? But yeah, the Street Fighter trailer was the biggest thing for me. It is the one thing that we got to see. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, finally, if you've had enough of us talking, it's almost at the end here. We are covering Disney. They were the last studio. Kind of one of the bigger things they talked about was Infinity Vision, which is kind of their response to not getting any IMAX screens for Doomsday, which Dune Part 3, we talked about it as getting all the IMAX screens for that weekend, Avengers Doomsday.
For 3 weeks.
Yeah, for a long stretch. And Avengers Doomsday, was just going to be in, normal theaters, not IMAX, but Disney, I guess, is doing Infinity Vision, which isn't new screens. They're not like building new screens or constructing new screens. They're basically just going to theaters and saying like, hey, we'll put the Infinity Vision stamp on this one, and you can brand it that way. And they marketed it as like premium large format theaters with laser projection and premium audio. And it's going to debut with the Avengers Endgame re-release on September 25th, kind of leading into Doomsday. Yeah. It'll be interesting. It's just kind of a marketing thing to be like, save face.
I don't love it just because I'm like, okay, this makes me feel like that they're standing in their place and they're going to take December 18th as their release date and then just hopefully rely on Infinity Vision to be their IMAX. But I'm like, I just would rather you guys just move a week up. Like, you guys don't need to come out on the same fucking day.
Right. I am actually really curious about that Avengers Endgame re-release because Kevin Feige at CinemaCon teased that there's going to be some new footage in there. I've heard some people saying that there's no end credits scene in Endgame. All you hear is the like metal on the mask or whatever that people thought was from Iron Man. People are like, maybe that's for like Doom making his mask, and we'll see that as kind of the post-credits scene. That could be interesting. I'm sure we'll probably go see that.
Yeah.
But as far as footage that was shown at CinemaCon, we had The Devil Wears Prada 2, Toy Story 5, a live-action Moana, Whalefall, Wild Horse 9, Hexed, Avengers Doomsday, and Ice Age Boiling Point. Doomsday, obviously the biggest one there. Everyone thought we were going to get a trailer released to the public, and we did not. But from what we heard about the trailer, it sounds fucking awesome. Thor fighting Doom, and then Chris Evans comes in as Cap, gets Mjolnir, fighting Doom together. That's fucking awesome. Mystique turning into Yelena Belova and fighting Florence Pugh in the movie. That sounds great. Shang-Chi and Gambit fighting each other.
That was the thing.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Hearing that, I was like, no fucking way.
Holy shit.
I keep forgetting that Channing Tatum's coming back for this, so I'm like, yes, I get to see more.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of it was kind of set in the X-Mansion in the early part of the trailer with Patrick Stewart looking out at like an incursion or an explosion or something. So it sounds really cool. Whenever that comes out, we'll talk more in depth about that. But we, like we said, the lasers were pointed at people's phones, and we don't have leaks.
The idea of the big three in the Avengers fighting each other in the woods, and now we're getting the big three fighting, but one's doomed now. I'm like,
I'm getting one over, dude. I'm getting one over. Dude, this shit's gonna be sweet. As far as things that were released to us, the first thing was The Dog Stars, which is Ridley Scott's new movie with Jacob Elordi and Margaret Qualley. It's based on a book. Actually, the trailer looks pretty good. I'm kind of excited for that movie. But the kind of bigger thing that was released was The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in about a month here. The first 18 minutes of the movie were shown, which that's a decent chunk of the movie. Like, that's a long time.
When they say that, like, I'm like, can you confirm what the runtime of this? Like, what fraction of the movie did you just show to people?
Yeah, right. It's very interesting. But
I don't think that they did a single showing of a movie this CinemaCon. They usually will do a full showing of one feature, or at least some studios do. I don't know if any films were shown at all. Let me look that up actually quick.
Yeah, I don't know that I heard about anything in full being released, but we did get a final trailer for Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm still very excited for this movie. It starts out with the Yoda theme as we see Grogu, and that's always going to win me over. But it looks fun. It looks like a cool little adventure with Mandalorian and Grogu, as the title implies. So that is the CinemaCon breakdown. It's a lot of shit. We kind of ran through everything. Like I said, we didn't. It's impossible to cover everything because we weren't there. We would love to go some year and do that and see this. We hope to grow this channel out and to be able to go and do things like that. It'd be a lot of fun and talk to you about the actual footage and not just be like, hey, we talking about other people talking about the footage.
Yeah, we're talking about reports of what other people got to see.
Yeah. So big year, big year for CinemaCon. I feel like last year we covered it a little bit, but this year I just feel like there was a lot of stuff, a lot more stuff than in previous years for sure.
Yeah, 2026 is going to be a big year. That and them highlighting all the other big stuff coming in years after this year. I'm like, oh shit, it's going to be busy for the next 3 years.
Hell yeah.
That'll do it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. In film, it's not just about what's on screen, it's also about who's next to you in the theater.
From Mason and I, Slate Night, that's a wrap.